At least we now know she is not a franchise player for any team.
Listening to the announcers, Angel drives, miss. Angel Reese, miss. Angel, nothing but rim. My God, she jumps and gets shorter. Block. Falls on head 3 times. This is the effects of these girls caring more about social media likes and random podcasts instead of actually developing their game. She seems to get worse. Oh. No.
Angel Reese goes off after getting shut down by experts, while Caitlin Clark shocks the WNBA because the game meant to prove her dominance exposed the same flaws everyone has been pointing out. This was built as her statement moment in Chicago, but instead of control and impact, it showed missed chances, poor efficiency, and a gap between hype and performance. Angel Reese looks impressively bad in preseason game against her former team. Angel Reese spent months building this idea that Chicago made a mistake. New team, fresh start, new system, more freedom. That was the story she sold. April 29th in Chicago was not just another preseason game. That was the game where you prove your old team got it wrong. That is where you dominate, where you take over, where you make everyone regret letting you go. Instead, Angel Reese played around 13 minutes and quietly disappeared from the game. No takeover, no statement. Just a lot of noise before the game and nothing when it actually mattered.
Angel Reese, we're just gonna drive right by her and hit it with a bloopy. Free throw. Bloop. Up, another one. Bloop. Oh, man.
And the numbers made it worse because they were not even debatable. Angel Reese shot around 29% from the field. That is not a rough shooting night where a few shots roll out. That is missing more than 2 out of every 3 attempts. 2 for 7 from the field. 4 for 8 from the free throw line. 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals sounds decent if you ignore everything else. But once you watch the game, once you see the missed layups, once you see the forced shots, it stops looking like production and starts looking like empty stats that do not actually impact the game.
Angel Reese yesterday finished the game. 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals. She was on fire. She was cooking. She was cooking. At least that's what you would think with this Yahoo Sports graphic. And of course, fans, they weren't letting it slide by. Well, shot 2 for 7. You can find better hoops at an 8th grade AAU Damn.
Here is the real problem that experts keep pointing out, and nobody from her side wants to address. Angel Reese does not have layers to her offensive game. She is not spacing the floor. She is not running the offense. She is not creating for others consistently. Her entire identity is built around finishing at the rim and using physicality inside. So when that part breaks down, there is nowhere to go. No backup plan, no adjustment, just more missed attempts and more frustration. That is exactly what played out in Chicago.
Angel Reese yesterday finished the game. 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals. She was on fire. She was cooking. She was cooking. At least that's what you would think with this Yahoo Sports graphic. And of course, fans, they weren't letting it slide by. Well, shot 2 for 7. You can find better hoops at an 8th grade AAU Damn. Poster stats, dog. 2 for 7. Field goal, under the rim, 4 for 8 from the free throws. Ouchie.
Then came the moment that basically summed up the entire night in one clip. Camila Cardoso met Angel Reese at the rim and sent her layup away clean. That clip went everywhere within minutes. And it was not just another block, it was symbolic. Chicago chose to build around Cardoso. They moved on from Reese. So when Cardoso rejects her like that in front of the same crowd, it does not feel random. It feels like a decision being validated in real time. 1 play, 1 second, and suddenly the entire 2-year story writes itself.
In the building than it actually is. So I'm assuming that behind this backboard, you see that it's empty.
What made it worse is that this was not an isolated moment. Angel Reese missed multiple layups throughout those minutes. Not contested jumpers, not deep shots, layups. The one thing her game depends on. You could see it in the clips. Driving into traffic, forcing attempts over 3 defenders, grabbing rebounds and immediately throwing the ball back up instead of resetting the offense. That is not just bad execution. That is poor decision-making. That is a player not adjusting to what is happening on the floor.
Angel Reese, 28% from the field, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Don't call it a comeback. Uh-oh. She's a bench player. Uh-oh. She made 2 baskets in game for 12 minutes. Uh-oh.
And the reaction from analysts and fans followed exactly what the tape showed. People were not debating small details. They were asking simple questions. Why does her finishing look worse than before? Why has there been no visible improvement from 2024 to 2026? Why is the same mistake showing up again and again? When people start putting together low-light clips before the game even ends, that tells you everything about how the performance is being received. Nobody needed to exaggerate anything. The film did the work on its own.
The epic return of their number 1 star that got traded away, coming back. I mean, these tickets were going for $7-8, $6.50 in some places.
Even the highlights that were supposed to help her ended up backfiring. Plays that were presented as blocks turned out to be simple deflections. Graphics made the performance look stronger than it actually was. But once people watched the real sequences, that illusion disappeared quickly. You cannot rely on edited moments when the full game is available for everyone to break down. And once they did, the conclusions stayed the same. Angel Reese did not just have a bad night. She exposed the same issues that have been there for years. Another article says, Angel Reese's game falls apart in Chicago return. Critics pile on. So now you are left with a situation where the expectations were loud, the buildup was constant, and the actual performance did not match any of it. This was the game that was supposed to flip the narrative. Instead, it reinforced it. Angel Reese walked into Chicago trying to prove something and ended up giving critics exactly what they were already saying. That is not bad luck. That is a pattern that keeps showing up every time the spotlight gets brighter.
Instead of starting it up again, we got 3 jerseys around us. We got fouled. Some things just don't ever change.
So now you look at the context of that game, and it actually gets worse the more you think about it. Because this was not Angel Reese going up against a full-strength, locked-in Chicago team playing like it was a playoff night. Chicago didn't even have their full lineup available. Skylar Diggins-Smith was out, Dejanai Carrington was out, Azura Stevens was out. This was a stripped-down rotation with coaches experimenting, testing combinations, and treating it like a development run. And Angel Reese still could not take control of that game. That is where the whole revenge game narrative collapses completely. Because if you cannot dominate a weakened team that is not even prioritizing winning that night, then what exactly are you proving? Chicago was not even trying to make a statement. They were evaluating players, rotating lineups, and still looked more organized and more effective. Meanwhile, Angel Reese came in like this was her moment and left with nothing to show for it. That is not pressure beating you. That is you not being ready for the moment you spent months talking about.
There was a lot of mystery about the relationship with Chicago last year as the season was ending and her future, but I'm not gonna lie, I was totally shocked. I was shocked that they actually pulled the trigger.
Then you shift to Atlanta, and the reality becomes even clearer. Angel Reese is not the centerpiece of that team. She is not the engine. The offense runs through Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray. Those are the players creating shots, controlling tempo, and actually deciding the outcome of games. Angel Reese fits somewhere behind that, third option at best, sometimes even lower depending on rotations. That is a very different role than the one she talks about publicly. And when Atlanta did things right in that game, it had nothing to do with Angel Reese taking over. It was Howard making plays. It was Gray producing. Reese's contributions sat in the background. Analysts described it as minimal, and that is exactly how it looked on tape. Yet you still had people pointing at the scoreboard because Atlanta won, as if that somehow changes what happened individually. Shooting 29% and then taking credit for the result does not make sense. That is like showing up late to a group project and still claiming you carried it. Angel Reese puts up Rough stat line. In 2026 preseason debut. Then you add in the media side, and it starts painting a bigger picture that goes beyond just basketball. Angel Reese skipped pregame media availability. Not once, not by accident, but as part of a pattern she has already admitted to. She has openly said she would rather take fines than deal with reporters. Now you can frame that however you want, but the timing matters. You are walking into your first game against your old team, the one you talked about for months, and you choose not to speak before tip-off. That does not look like confidence. That looks like someone trying to avoid being on record before things go wrong. And the problem is, when you step away from the conversation keeps going without you. That is exactly what happened. The game plays out, the missed shots pile up, the block goes viral, and now the narrative is being written by everyone else. You do not control it anymore. You handed that control away the moment you decided not to show up and address it head-on. That is not just a media issue. That affects how fans see you, how analysts talk about you, and how your own story gets shaped over time. Angel Reese discusses emotional return to Chicago before facing Sky in WNBA opener. Well,
the unthinkable has happened. Angel Reese has been traded to the Atlanta Dream.
It also connects directly to what was happening behind the scenes in Chicago before she got traded. Reports described the locker room as tense and fractured. The players were not comfortable. There were repeated issues with public comments and internal dynamics. And the most telling part is what happened after she left. Chicago immediately started attracting players. Skylar Diggins-Smith signs, DeJounte Carrington signs, Azura Stevens signs. They trade for Rickea Jackson. That is not a slow rebuild. That is a franchise changing direction quickly. And people close to the situation were not quiet about it. Reports said players were relieved she was gone, that the environment improved immediately. That tells you this is not just about missed shots or one bad game. This is about how everything around her was functioning. When a team gets better right after moving on from you, people start connecting those dots whether you like it or not. Now compare all of that to Caitlin Clark and it becomes even more obvious why this conversation is happening. Same draft class, same 2-year window, no excuses about timing or opportunity. Clark goes to the Indiana Fever and builds something. They make the playoffs for the first time in a decade. Arenas are selling out. Players actually want to go there. The offense runs through her, but it also makes everyone else better. That is the difference. Clark shows up to the media every time. Good game, bad game, it does not matter. She sits down, answers questions, and moves on. That consistency builds trust. It builds a fan base. It builds a team identity. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is still dealing with the same criticisms about performance, the same questions about development, and the same issues with how she handles pressure moments publicly. One player is growing the situation around her, the other keeps getting caught in the same cycle.